Future's now, old man.
What it do, hullabaloo? This is Future First Podcast, where we are helping you win today with the Future First mindset. I'm your co-host, J-Mac, here with my co-host, Jose. What's up, dude? How you doing?
I'm good, J-Mac. How you been?
Good, man. Good. It's almost March now, end of February. I got the startup itch, so I'm in a startup. Here we go. Yeah, you know
Man,
about it, though.
yeah, it's wild. It's crazy. These first few months, I feel like, I guess you always say that, but first few months of the year have flown by. We're about to be in combine season, the free agent season. I know we're gonna hit that in the quick hit. One of the kind of names we were waiting for free agency kind of already dropped. So yeah, man. I mean, it's exciting because there's some kind of new stuff to talk about. For a bit, we've kind of just been talking about things we think is going to happen with these rookies, and soon we're going to get some actual real information on them.
Yeah, we got some an extension, or I guess a re-signing, I guess is what you would call it. But yeah, we'll get into that in the quick hit. But yeah, that news came probably like 45 minutes too late for us in the startup draft. We were debating Javonte Williams on the clock, going kind of back and forth on that. We ended up taking the startup pick 2026 107, which is, it's fine. And, it probably would have been better to have Javonte Williams in the long run there, considering how productive he was with the Cowboys last year. He's only 25 years old. We'll get into that, though. But first, roster review services. This is going to be your last episode here to get in for the free entry to get, the entry to get a free roster review here as a promotional. So make sure to like, comment down below. On next week's episode, we will be pulling a winner. And so if you did win, we'll reach out to you and we'll get you going. But in case you're impatient and you don't want to wait for that, or you got way too many teams that one isn't going to cover it, we'll review your dynasty rosters and we'll provide roster construction feedback and give you general moves to help you improve your team, maybe even a few specific moves. We've done a couple now. We've had really great feedback on them both. Both guys said that the value that we gave them out of the roster review was above and beyond. So hopefully you guys take us up on it. We'll get you plugged in. We'd love to do more of these guys for you, or do more of these for you guys. And it's a ton of fun. Jose and I have fun doing it. So please reach out to us if you want to, or if you have a startup coming up and you want a draft strategy tailored for your format, we'll do that too, especially if it's a really unique format. It can be really useful to do. I think a lot of rankings out there don't take into account these like really tight end premium ones. If you're starting 2 tight ends or you have like more than 1 point premium, a lot of rankings won't capture that, and you can kind of take advantage of it. Although in the startup we're in, I feel like they've all been overdrafted, which, again, can be to your advantage too. You can kind of just take the value as it falls. But nonetheless, we're asking $5 a team for a roster review. You can send your request to futurefirstpod@gmail.com if you're interested, and we'll get you plugged in and send you some more information there. All right, if you're watching this on YouTube, make sure to touch down on that like button and go for 2 on the subscribe. Be sure to drop a comment while you're there, especially if you want to win that free giveaway, last chance. And if you're catching this on Player Profiler, thank you for tuning in. But be sure to follow us directly on our YouTube channel, which is at Future First Pod, or at search Future First Podcast wherever you get your podcasts. We're on Spotify, Apple Pods, everywhere really. Shout out to Fox, who's been helping us with our graphics, and shout out to McGrumble, who's been helping us with all of our stats. You can follow them at bfoxworth07 and at ff_McGrumble on the Twitter X machine. All right, let's get into it here. We got a jam-packed episode here. We're going to review the 2026 rookie tight end class. But before that, we got a quick hit where we're going to go over some free agent signings. You ready, dude?
Yeah, let's do it.
I was laughing because you said that like I caught you by surprise.
Yeah, I was trying to decide which one I was going to go with, and then I kind of just said all of them at the same time, you know?
Yeah.
Yep. But, that's irrelevant, J-Mac, because the start of the Cowboys Super Bowl starts
Oh,
right now by re-signing
it's our
Javonte
year.
Williams. It's our year. No, I have been displeased with myself because I've actually been somewhat buying into the hype of the Cowboys. I normally I'm not one of those it's our
Uh-oh.
year guys, but I mean, the hirings they've done, getting contracts signed early, not in training camp. I mean, we'll see what happens with George Pickens, and we'll see what happens with the defense in the draft. But I am decently excited for once for a Cowboys upcoming season. So we'll see. But yeah, I mean, the news we're going to talk about it's kind of like revisiting the running back free agent market, right? The first domino kind of fell, which was Javonte signing for basically 8 years for 8 years. That would be wild. 8 million for 2 years per. It's like 3 years, but really all the money is front loaded for the first two, so the third one's kind of pretty much irrelevant. I was looking it up just on like a average per year basis, not taking into like total guarantee and fully guaranteed and all that stuff. He's the youngest to sign in that sort of range of players, and the other names are guys like Genty, who was a first round pick. So he's the only one that's younger. But yeah, like Ramondre Stevenson, Chuba Hubbard, DeAndre Swift, Tony Pollard, all signing between like 7.2 to 9 million. So I think for what the Cowboys did, I think that's great work. I mean, you take Javonte with his age and production profile for last season over pretty much over all of those guys easily. David Montgomery's at 9.1, James Conner's at 9.5. Even those guys, I'm taking Javonte over. So I think the Cowboys did good work. From everything they said, they wanted him there, and Javonte really liked being there. So it felt like one of those where it actually kind of just both sides could kind of deal done pretty quickly. So that's great news. If you're a dynasty owner of Javonte and you were kind of worried, I think this is probably best case scenario. He's tied to a top 10, top 12 fantasy offense where he produced like 1,000, 1,200, it was 1,200 yards, I think, and like 10 touchdowns. And he could have probably had even better if he wasn't hurt towards the end of the year. So, all good news. And so we're kind of like now thinking, going back to our running back episode, right? We talked about Breece Hall, Kenneth Walker, Etienne, what kind of bags they might be looking at. So how do you think they slot in? Do you think this is kind of all of those guys are going to go to the teams and be like, hey, I'm a better player than Javonte. I've shown more than Javonte. I need more than 8? Or do you think they're in the same ballpark? What are you thinking?
Yeah. Well, first off, I mean, forget about them boys because these boys, I don't even know who these boys are right now, man. There's, like you said, they're signing contracts early. Jerry Jones, I don't know, man. It's like something's weird. I don't know. Something's really weird going on here. No, I'm happy for you guys. Yeah, I think that's a great deal, not only for Javonte, but for the Cowboys too, right? I mean, to lock in a running back to the caliber of Javonte for that good of a deal, it's going to do really well for them. And I think putting George Pickens on what we assume will be the franchise tag, you're going to have a lot of money to kind of still invest throughout the team, especially when you have as much cap space or as much capital stored into CD and Dak. Like you guys need the breaks where you can get them. So I mean, kudos to you guys. Yeah, I don't know. I can't buy into it or feel bad buying into it because I'm not that fan. But let's move on from that. And yeah, for the Kenneth Walker, Breece Hall, ETN stuff, Breece Hall, if he does hit free agency, is going to start at double digits per year. I feel like he'd probably end up getting 10 to 12 is what I would expect for Breece. Kenneth Walker, I think this is kind of like the baseline for him. I like Kenneth Walker and I think he's good, but I don't see much of a difference between him and Javonte, right? I mean, they're both 25. Kenneth Walker's been more productive, but he hasn't had nearly the injuries that Javonte's had to go through, and he's been on the better offense for majority of his career. Javonte had to tough it out those really bad years in Denver where Russell Wilson was still tossing the rock for them for a while, and then even after that they had I don't remember. There was a bridge guy. I want to say Drew Lock. Is that who it was who came in? So to me, I think maybe Kenneth Walker gets a little bit of a bump coming off of like that Super Bowl performance he had, but I don't see it being a ton more. Maybe it's just more guaranteed money, and it's just kind of less, or similar AAV. And ETN, man, I don't know what to do with ETN. He was the other guy we were debating on the clock when we were looking at Javonte Williams. They're going at the same spot pretty much. He's 27 years old. That is frightening in a dynasty draft. And honestly, like the best situation for him is probably just to stay in Jacksonville and stay with his boy T Law. Other than that, like the only other places I think I'd really want to see him go is like the Chiefs or where else are you happy that he goes? And speaking to ETN getting that money, I think he's at the same spot. Like I think all these guys aside from Breece are like right around that same tier.
Yeah, I think it might be one of those like outmatch the other guy, like his agent gets him 8.1, 8.2, just to outmatch, say, oh, I got you
Right.
paid more, that sort of thing. But yeah, I mean, speaking of agents, sounds like Travis Etienne's agent and him himself are kind of already putting that out into the ether, saying he has a lot of interest in signing for the Chiefs. Do the Chiefs have any interest in signing him? We don't know, but
Yeah, who
hey,
knows?
it's good that he's really excited to play for one of the best quarterbacks and coaches in the NFL. I'm sure they all are, but yeah, I mean, I thought it was kind of interesting just touching back on Kenneth Walker, how quickly it came out that it's not looking likely he's going to go back to
I
Seattle. That
know.
that seemed like that came out like 2 days after the Super Bowl. They were like, no, our Super Bowl MVP, we're not going to franchise tag him. He's probably going to be too rich for us, which is very interesting what they do there. Because I mean, that was such a late ACL tear. I don't know if you saw, but with Charbonnet, some Twitter doctors, which obviously you gotta take that into account, but they were saying that he didn't get his surgery until a month after he suffered it. So they thought there might have been damage or like a PCL sprain or something else that stopped them from doing the surgery right away. So he actually just got the surgery a few days
Okay.
ago. So his timetable to return could be middle of 26 season, or maybe if things aren't that great, he could just miss the whole thing. So it'll be very interesting what they do at running back there, because it could be a one-man show if they draft somebody in the second, third round, or if I wouldn't hate Breece, any of these guys going there. I mean, it doesn't seem like it's going to be Kenneth Walker, and maybe
Hmm.
if he's too much money, then maybe Breece Hall and Etienne are also too much money. But I think that's going to be a very interesting piece to land there, because I mean, we love that offense. I mean, I know you're a little bit down on it with the
Yeah.
Kubiak leaving, but I think with McDonald there, I trust the head coach a lot. So that's probably another topic for another day. But I do agree with you in terms of like what these guys are probably looking at. Hall and Hall kind of being the top end, and then the other guys kind of sliding in just in the same sort of tier. But I think that's one running back domino that's fallen that we're happy with,
Hmm.
right? Like tracking this through the offseason, this
Yeah.
is a good thing that we're happy about. And I think Cowboys have so many holes to fill on defense, and they have a rookie that they drafted last year that did decent, that they're not, you're not worried about Javonte's workload or him going forward.
Yeah. Like the whole Kenneth Walker walking from Seattle thing was, like you said, really interesting to me. I think Zach Charbonnet is like the guy to target right now. And even though, like you said, who knows what he becomes. Like I'm not putting too much stock into him having the surgery a month late. Like that's pretty common. I feel like if there's just like swelling that was happening or something else going on. But nonetheless, like if you're rebuilding and you don't think Charbonnet is going to be good to go this year, but you're trying to exit in 2027, I think he's a great target. I think what's going to end up happening for the Seahawks is they're probably just going to get one of those bridge guys, and they're going to bring in a veteran to kind of get it done, like maybe like a Joe Mixon like lands there or something. I'm trying to think of another old guy that could be hitting the free agency market here, but he's the first one that came to mind. So, and then they patch it together until Charbonnet can come back. And I think that they like Charbonnet. And yeah, I am down on the offense in general, but they at least did bring back another Shanahan kind of guy. They hired the tight end coach from the 49ers, who was also in the run game coordination. So I think I can at least feel a little bit better about it, or maybe I'm just, coping.
I mean, I do want to shout out. I forgot about it when we did the Super Bowl. I did shout out that AJ, but you were doing that weird thing of all the
Yeah, yeah,
players.
yeah, yeah.
I shouted out AJ Barner would get a touchdown. You try to say some dude who never even played or something would get it, but it's all right. The thing with Charbonnet is I think free agent next year. So it's going to be very interesting, if he could even get back on, because he was a rookie, but he was
That's
not
a good shout.
a first round. So it would be, they'd have to extend him either while he's injured, which might be, their type of smart moves while he's injured. He wants to secure a bag and they can get him for cheaper. So,
yeah.
But yeah, man, I think we rode the running backs pretty hard here.
Yeah, let's dive into the rookie tight end class here. But I guess before we do, let's go ahead and pause here for some Dynasty Deluxe action from the Podfather.
If you play in Dynasty, you need Dynasty Deluxe, our premium package for Dynasty Leaguers. We rank over 300 players, updated every week, all year long. And there's a win now mode and a rebuild mode with superflex and tight end premium controls. And a Dynasty League sync, where you can say, sync down all of my sleeper teams, all my FFPC teams, and then you can browse around your leagues for who has needs, and then you can use our trade finder to see what kinds of trades are happening in leagues that are similar to the one I want to do. Then you can analyze trades using our trade analyzer, which balances the lifetime value, which includes pick values out to like 2028. All of that plus the rookie guide, $25 value, is included. So if you're just in one Dynasty League, Dynasty Deluxe is well worth it. And use your host's promo code, and you can bump up to all in and get $25 off.
All right, welcome back. Let's dive into the 2026 rookie class as we have been the past couple weeks here. Today, we're going to be looking at the tight end prospects. At the class overview that we did 3 weeks back now, we identified that this is kind of a deep class in terms of the number of prospects that are going to be entering the NFL here. I think we said there was something like 15 coming in or expected to be drafted within over the 3 days of the draft here. We're going to take a look at the 6 that we think could make the biggest difference in fantasy. Of course, there's a lot of missing pieces here that we still need to put it all together and feel better about where these guys are going to be drafted. I think the combine will tell us a lot about this. The measurables and athletics skills and testing points that we can put to tight ends matter a lot more than any other position. I, for one, look at the RAS score, and hopefully you all out there are doing the same. There's a very high correlation for tight end breakouts or fantasy relevant tight ends and their relative athletic score, which takes into account all their measurables. So we're going to do our best here and talk about the ones that we think will be fantasy relevant. And for the most part, that's going to be ones that have a pass catching profile to them when we're looking at their analytics of their college career. So let's dive into it here. Go ahead and jump into the first prospect, which I hope all of you know. He is the top one that everyone is talking about, and that is Kenyon Sadiq. And I'm giving him the nickname of the Freak. Kenyon Safreak is probably what we could be calling. I don't know how you feel about that one, man. You tell me.
Nah, you got me there, man. I was like Greek Freak, and then I was gonna look up, maybe where he's from. So like, could we, where is he from? If you're familiar with basketball, the Greek Freak, Giannis. But no, I mean, Kenyon Safreak, like. I mean, can he get a better nickname? I don't think
That's
so.
right, man.
He should be coining that already. But yeah, man. I mean, he is the guy, right? Or he is the person that everybody's excited is the guy, right? Like that's what I think we're all hoping. I'll let you kind of hit the stats before we kind of do a little more commentary on him. But
yeah, let's do it. His 2025 stats. He plays for the Oregon Ducks. He's 6'3", 245 pounds. Stands in at 20.9 years old. In 2025, he ran 346 routes for 67 targets and 51 receptions, going for 560 yards on 8 touchdowns, 248 yards after the catch. He had 8 missed tackles forced or avoided tackles, 0.19 targets per route run, 1.62 yards per route run. And I put in here his pass blocking percentage, which I feel like if they were asking him to block a lot, or any prospect, if the team is asking them to block a lot, that they have confidence in their skill set. So this is just a way to measure, how good of a pass blocker they are based on how often they were asked to pass block. I think you see the guys that are really good at pass blocking that don't have good pass catching measurables. It looks like they're in like that 20+% pass blocking percentage. So if you see a guy that kind of gets up into that range and doesn't have like a good pass catching analytics, then that's kind of, to me, a red flag. That he's going to be drafted as a blocking tight end. Out there on rushing downs, but not really out there to get you any fantasy points. But for the case of this, it is important that they are good pass blockers. We want them out there on the field. So if they're being asked to pass block, that seems like a signal to me. And it's not, a subjective view where we're taking PFF's score and how they rank the pass blocking, which I've heard is kind of has a low praise on where they go with that. So I didn't really want to kind of put that out there. But nonetheless, he's asked to block, 1 in 10 times when he's on the field, which is pretty good. One thing I want to say about Kenyon Sadiq is I expect him to test really, really well. Just he'll probably be off the charts here. This guy is just rocked up, and he makes some.
Whoa, this is a family-friendly show here, bud. Jeez.
He's out here on the field. I don't know if you guys have seen the tape, but he's like one out of every other play. I feel like he's jumping up full extension, like catching the ball out of midair, like falling down in the end zone. It's pretty incredible to watch. I am excited for him to see where he goes. He's been mocked to the 49ers more than once, so I would be more than happy to put Kenyon Sadiq on the field for the 49ers and see what he could do in the Shanahan system. But why don't you give me your thoughts on Kenyon Sadiq?
Yeah, if you are not a tape person and you kind of just listen, to people like us or anybody talking about these prospects, do yourself a favor. Go look up a Safriq. You might have to actually spell his name out, but look up his highlight tape because it's so impressive. There's so many plays where you're like, what is happening right now? That's a tight end. But yeah, man, the only thing about his thing, like his profile, is kind of lacking a bit of production. Like you see the amazing athlete, and yeah, for those those people, those analysts that have models that take into account like the scores at the combine. He's gonna completely break models, I would imagine, just because how what a freak athlete he is. Like his speed score to the speed score to weight, like when they do that, I think that's very important for tight ends. He's gonna probably do very, very well in that. So I think his production profile is just okay. I think the reason why people probably aren't as excited about him, I think a lot of people are, but if you really look into it, you're probably not as excited as a Brock Bowers, the Tyler Warrens, the Colston Lovelands. Those guys is just, he didn't do as much with his physical abilities in college. That was kind of the only thing. I think he'll be pretty landing spot dependent. Like I don't love these guys that don't have giant or very good production profiles that then go to like a bad offense or a team that's not going to use them, because the athleticism is all great and we've seen so many great athletes, but once you get to the NFL, everybody's a monster athlete, right? You're not playing these little teams where you're playing the accountants and the engineers and whatnot. Like, no offense, those are all great professions, but like these schools sometimes play these teams that are just regular people who are playing football and not freak athletes. So I think the freak athlete thing kind of comes down a little bit in the NFL, right? Because you're not playing, you're playing against all superstars, right? It's the top of the top. So I really hope he gets a good landing spot. I hope it's the first round. I think he's the only tight end projected to be in the first round in the mock database right now. So I hope that's the case. The 49ers, like you were talking about, would be great. But just, any sort of place where you have confidence in the coaching staff, the confidence that they're going to develop and use his talent would be great. I'd hate for them to, him go, somebody thinks it's a value and they draft him and I don't know, it's a horrible landing spot. I think that would Tepper. What, I don't know how to say that word.
Yeah, temper expectations here. Yeah.
Mine a lot actually for him, because for tight ends specifically, I'm way more of kind of like a stats, which is not my thing, but I think that it can follow that trail a little bit better than some of these other positions. So yeah, but I mean, it's going to be fun to watch him do his thing at the combine. And like I said, if you haven't seen him, you just heard the name, go just watch like a 5-10 minute YouTube video clip montage of him, and you'll have a lot of fun, because it is very exciting to watch him do what he does when he gets the ball thrown to him.
Yes, I did watch that game where the Oregon Ducks played the Scranton University Accountants. It was a thriller.
Hey, at least it's the Oregon Ducks. Like that's
right. I mean, hey, when I was putting up these profiles here, I was like, man, the tight ends, they went to schools with some names that actually slap. I can't wait to get into some of these other ones.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I like Sadiq, and I am skeptical about the analytical profile, especially since it is the Oregon Ducks, right? We've seen guys come out of there who have, meant to be wowed, but then they kind of fell a little bit flat, right? So I am skeptical, but I mean, he's too good. And I do share the same sentiment where it's going to be scheme dependent for me and landing spot dependent where he goes. All right, let's kind of get into the next guy here, who's going to be Eli Stowers. And he's the opposite, I think, of Kenyon Sadiq, where he has the analytical profile to kind of back up the production that we saw from him. But it's also a little bit of a concern, too, for me. I guess we'll dive into that. Let me, highlight the stats here first. His 2025 stats, he was the tight end, or he is the tight end 2, played for the Vanderbilt Commodores. I don't even know what a Commodore is, but it sounds badass. He is 6'4", 235 pounds, so a little bit more slender than you typically would see for a tight end. 22.8 years old. He ran 301 routes for 85 targets, 62 receptions, 769 yards, and 4 touchdowns. He had 377 yards after the catch. He made 9 avoided tackles. Target per route 1 of 0.28. That's wild. And a yards per route run of 2.56, also wild. He was only asked to pass block 3.6% of the time, which I feel like is the red flag of the profile here. He was the Commodores wide receiver 1. He played with Diego Pavia. He followed him there. Eli Stowers is actually a converted quarterback, which is something that I actually like when it comes to prospects, because I feel like quarterbacks can process the game much more efficiently than other positions coming in, because they have to know coverages and how to read the defense. So like having that as a skill set when you're the receiver, knowing where to sit in a zone, where it's soft, where to push, and having like a connection with your quarterback means a lot. So maybe his stats here was built on that connection with Diego Pavia, but man, 0.28 yards or targets per route run and 2.56 yards per route run. If he was a wide receiver, we'd be like foaming at the mouth for this guy, which is why I think like he is going to be the fantasy darling, where the community is going to be probably pushing, especially if he gets good capital. I think he'll be pushing Kenyon Sadiq here in a weaker draft class too, where we don't have these real like top end elite guys, and people might be willing to reach for what they think is a ceiling play here. I think Eli Stowers could be that guy. But yeah, I mean, one, being tall and slender, he's not going to really do well in pass blocking, I feel like, which shows up here in the 3.6%. But we talked about how the NFL is changing too, right? With 3 tight ends, 2 tight ends, 13 and 12 personnel being a more common thing. He could just be that guy that starts inside and then splits out into the slot and makes his living that way. But again, that's going to be very scheme dependent and landing spot dependent. So I don't know, man. How much do you know about Eli Stowers, and what do you know? What do you like about him?
Yeah, I mean, the way I think he kind of looks almost like a slot tight end. Like that's a big slot, the wide receiver type of thing. I think the pass blocking from the tight end is definitely where you're saying, where you don't want to be too good at it, where they just have you block, and you don't want to be so bad at it that they can't trust you at all. He definitely lacked that ability, so he's a guy that you're gonna have to hope he can develop some, because I think coaches in general don't, sure, we're seeing the expansion of tight ends, but they still want those guys to be able to block. Like you have to be able to block, because if you go out there and you can't block and you're only out there for passing downs, then all you're doing is giving away the play.
Yeah, 100%. And another troubling thing for me is when he went to Vanderbilt and converted from quarterback to tight end, he bulked up. So he bulked up to 235 pounds. So like, how much bigger can this guy get? Because that's something I do try to take into account. Like, okay, when these guys get into the NFL and they're professional athletes and their job is to work out and get into shape and, bulk up, and then I feel like they probably are going to add a little bit more, or that they potentially could, get bigger and bulk up. But I don't know if that's going to be on the table for Eli Stowers here. But I mean, nonetheless, like, I feel like at worst he's going to be a back of the first round pick, depending on how the draft lands. And I feel like people are just going to take shots on this guy, and that's probably where you're going to have to do it. And with as bad as the draft class is, like, maybe that's where you want to spend it.
Yeah, that's what I've been thinking more and more about, depending on how some of these running back tests and how many wide receivers, we start liking. That it might just be that, middle to back end of the first round might be made up of some of these tight ends if they can land well and test well. You might actually have like 3 tight ends that you get drafted in the first round of rookie rounds of rookie drafts, just based on the ability of other players and just kind of lack of talent. We'll have to see exactly how many wide receivers and what happens with the running backs that we've talked about. But yeah, right. I think Eli Stowers could be that guy, like you're saying, that the dynasty and fantasy community falls in love with if certain things go his way.
Yeah, I think that's bound to happen, especially with the analytics. I don't think he'll test very well, which is, might suppress the hype for Eli Stowers here. But let's get into someone who I think will test really well, and that's Max Klare. I'm calling him the modernist because he's kind of like a diet Brock Bowers. He's not quite as good as Brock Bowers, but I do think he enters the scale. I mean, he does kind of look like him in some ways. He moves very similarly. I just don't think he has quite the catch radius or the hands that Brock Bowers would. But he is big, right? I mean, he's 6'5", 243 pounds, 22.7 years old. He's the tight end 3 of the class, played for the Ohio State Buckeyes. He ran in 2025 302 routes for 55 targets, 43 receptions for 448 yards, 2 touchdowns, 224 yards after the catch. He forced 5 avoided tackles, 0.18 targets per route run, 1.48 yards per route run, and was asked to block 7.7% of the time. I will say that his 2025 analytics look a lot worse compared to his 2024 analytics, and I think that is because he transferred over from Purdue.
The Boilermakers.
The Boilermakers. The Purdue Boilermakers. What does a Boilermaker do?
I don't know. They make boilers? I have no idea.
They make boilers?
I don't know, man. That's just 2 words, man. Splitting them up. I have no idea.
Boilers haven't been relevant since like the 20th century.
Neither has Purdue football. Sorry, I don't know. But
that's fired.
I do think that's where you have to kind of decide what you want to do. It almost feels like big fish in a little pond when he was at Purdue, or is he a little fish that was in a big pond when he went to Ohio State? I mean, he was playing with some of the guys that people are dying for 2027 picks for that are going to come out next year, hopefully, presumably. So how many targets could he realistically get? At Purdue, he was literally the entire offense, basically. Like if you look at the 2024, if he came out in 2024 or last year's class instead of transferring to Ohio State, he could have been, right up there with the Colson Lovelands and the Tyler Warrens, I think. Like, I mean, that's how good his profile was. He's a good athlete. He can block. So I think he's very interesting. You're just going to have to make the decision of what version of him do you believe in? Is he going to, if he goes to a team that already has weapons and he doesn't need to be a focal point, are they going to view him as that? Or is someone going to draft him to make him a focal point like he was at Purdue, where he demonstrated that he could do it, right? He could do the targets. He could take in all the passes, make the catches, score the touchdowns, get the targets per route run, all the things, right? Like his metrics from that season, if you start looking at that, look great. And if his tape is the same, like you will go watch Ohio State tape of him and it's like, yeah, why am I watching this guy? And then you watch him with Purdue and it's like, okay, this is a real player here. So it's going to be one of those gambles. And I think, where he goes can tell you a lot about a team, right? But it's a wait and see. I think, like you said, though, he will also taste pretty well. I think him and Stowers will be in competition. Obviously, that's why we're talking about them in 2 and 3 order to compete with Sadiq, right? Like, depending on how things land for them, if people really believe in Klare's production profile in 2024 instead of 2025, then I think he also has a good case because, I mean, he has more production, better numbers overall, and he's not that far behind in terms of physical specimen. I mean, he's not, a freak. We're not going to be calling him, Max the Freak or anything like that, but he definitely has good physical traits too.
Yeah, Max Flair. I don't know. I'm spitballing here. Max Glare. He'll look at you really meanly. No, we'll figure something out. But I think I will note that, in 2024 in Purdue, where he did have, better analytics, I'll just call it out here. He had 51 receptions for 684 yards, 4 touchdowns. He had a target per route run of 0.24, yards per route run of 2.22. So obviously a lot better. He also had, quite a bit of yak at 338 yards. But I think the kind of asterisk on that is that he ran a lot of screens in the Purdue offense, which is, kind of normal for a tight end. But when I was watching the tape, it was like more than I probably would have liked to see, because that production relies on scheme more than it does on athletic ability or talent. But nonetheless, like he's out there, he does run some great routes and makes some great plays. So, but I guess like that's just kind of one thing I see. So he's definitely, I'm going to be looking at draft capital spent on him when it comes to it. If he gets day 2 capital, I'm going to feel a lot better about it. And especially, where he goes and what kind of scheme we see him land in. Obviously, I mean, we've said that now about all these prospects, but it just matters so much with tight ends, just as it would with, running backs or something similar to that. So, okay. I think this is a good place to take a break here, just to kind of put a little like bookmark in between these tight ends and the other 3 that we're going to cover, because there is quite a difference, I feel like, between these 3 and the other 3. So let's pause here for a break, and we'll see you guys on the other side. All right, welcome back here. We're looking now at Michael Trigg, and he is the tight end 4 of this class, at least for us, playing for the Baylor Bears. There you go. I'm scared of a bear, that's for sure. He is 6'4", 240 pounds, 23.6 years old. He's a big boy. I think he's one of the biggest tight ends here in the class, at least in terms of, bulk. He ran 319 routes, 85 targets, 50 receptions, 694 yards, 6 touchdowns, 224 yards after the catch, 17 avoided tackles, 0.27 targets per route run, 2.18 yards per route run, asked to pass block 8.9% of the time. This guy, if you were just to look at the box score and the numbers, and I mean, even if you were to watch the film, you'd be like, how is this guy not the tight end one of the class? Honestly, it's pretty close. I think, obviously I think he's a redshirt senior. So, at 23.6 years old, he moved around a bunch. He was at Ole Miss and didn't play there. And I think he left mid game, or something like that. I pulled an Antonio Brown, just jersey off, just walked off the field. I don't know. Do you know the story behind that, or am I just spitballing?
Yeah, when people started, when I was looking him up and the character concerns or problematic things started coming up, I went ahead and kind of did a little digging. One of the things doesn't it shouldn't be accounted to him, where the athletic director or something grabbed him and started insulting him on the sideline. I don't know why that wouldn't be attributed to him. It was about an undershirt, but the stuff with Ole Miss was about he was missing practices. He wasn't showing up. He was labeled an issue. He was disciplined multiple times, and I think I don't know if he necessarily got cut, but yeah, I think they did the equivalent of cutting him for college. They removed him from the program. So that was back in 2023 before he went to Baylor. At Baylor, I didn't see any of that stuff. Nothing came up besides that sideline incident, which doesn't really seem like it was his necessarily fault. But yeah.
Yeah, I mean, 17 avoided tackles I think that's one of the very first things I'm looking for when, compared to a wide receiver or something, and when it comes to analytics. And then after that, I'm looking at, yards after the catch, which again, he excels in quite a bit. He had 4.48 yards after the catch per reception in 2025, but when you look at the rest of his career, in 2024, it was 6.06. 2023 had 3.75, but he only played one game. And then in 2022, it was another mediocre year. This guy's a dog. He plays very physical. He wants to hit you in the mouth and run you over. He uses his size to his advantage. He obviously earns targets very well, as you can see here with the 0.27 targets per route run, and has an incredible yards per route run here. So he's the wild card, I think, of the draft, right? He's got probably the highest ceiling out of any of these tight ends, maybe even higher than Eli Stowers, just because he's built to play the tight end position a little bit better, but can still play to that pass catching role that we want him to. But we don't know where he's going to go in the draft because of these off the field issues. So that's a concern, and honestly, that can get a discount on him in the NFL draft, which can then mean that we cannot take draft capital into account for what it is, at least as a reflection of his skill set, right? So I don't know, man. This one's probably the weirdest of them all, and I feel like if he gets low draft capital, he's probably going in the second or third round. And who else are you going to be taking shots at in this class at that position?
Yeah, I agree. I could see that. Did you feel like he blocked with the same kind of forces that he ran with? He seemed like one of those players that liked the contact when kind of having the ball in his hands, but it was not super fun into blocking when he didn't get the ball. I feel like I saw that a little bit, and I saw people talking about his kind of lack of effort when blocking. But yeah, I think the only thing I would also kind of discrep or not agree with is that he has the highest ceiling. I think it's still Sadiq, just based solely on the athletic ability, the size and everything. But Sadiq has the ability to, if he, I mean, let's just talk about my favorite guy, right? He can Kyle Pitts this thing, but maybe not once every 5 years. That sort of freak kind of physical ability. I think Sadiq still, has him in that category.
You say you say he could pitch this thing like that's a good thing.
Well, to me, it is. Hey, Mag, that's why. To me, we just all have to be transport. I mean, hey, last year was pretty good. I mean, it hangs down on a 50-point game a lot, but hey, the rest of the season wasn't too bad. And just remember that rookie season, like, wouldn't we all love to see that from a
The
Sadiq
glory
or
days of the
a
rookie
Michael Trigg?
season. 1,000
5
yards.
years ago now, by the way. Free
I
agent Kyle
know.
Pitts is
And
crazy.
and he's still only what, like 24 years old? It's
He will
crazy.
be about the same age as Michael Trigg, who's going to turn 24 and he's going to turn 24 in June. So, and he's played 5 NFL seasons, which is just
Okay.
the wildness of this.
Well, let's
life.
not put, the pit stain on Kenyon Sadiq here. You know what I
I
mean?
see what you did there.
You see what I did there?
Yes.
All right, back to Michael Trigg. Okay, maybe
Yeah.
he doesn't have the highest ceiling according to some. I do think he could get there. Like I don't know. Maybe highest ceiling is a bad way to put it. Maybe more probabilistic of hitting the highest ceiling is maybe fair to say, given the draft capital that you have to invest in here. Okay, I think we kind of did Michael Trigg enough justice here. Let's move into the Justin Joly, who is the tight end 5 that we have from the North Carolina State Wolfpack. Wolfpack, yeah. Let's go. 6'3", 263 pounds. He's a stocky boy. 21.6 years old. He ran 275 routes for 69 targets, 49 receptions, 489 yards, 7 touchdowns, 177 yards after the catch. He avoided 6 tackles, targets per route run of 0.25, yards per route run of 1.78, and was asked to pass block 12.6% of the time. Honestly, I haven't watched a lot of Justin Joly, but I've heard a lot of good things about him. I do want to go back and watch his film. His analytics pop off the screen here. He's definitely one of the top tight ends here. I just don't know. Is North Carolina State, I don't feel like they have probably the highest competition in college.
What type of players do you think they're playing out there?
I don't know, man. I can't. Maybe are they playing the accountants over there?
To be honest, and maybe this is like, some people will be screaming that we have no idea what we're talking about. I mean, it's not a college football podcast, but
No.
I feel like anytime I hear the word state, unless it's like one of the big states like Florida State or Ohio State, like I feel like I take like state is usually like the smaller school. No, it's like it's the state university, so normally it's the smaller of the colleges, right? Like there's UNC in North Carolina and there's Duke. Obviously, those are like basketball schools, but I'm talking about like those are the big schools. So I feel like when I hear state, I just think kind of smaller school. So I don't know.
Yeah.
I still don't know what that means. I mean, on
they're
their
in
list,
they're in the ACC, so, right? So it's
okay.
not. I mean, I
That
feel like
means-
that's like 3rd or 4th on the list of
Okay.
the
I gotta be
conferences.
honest. I have no idea what the alphabet soup of that. Like, I know at one point it meant a lot. Like, I know the SEC is usually like really good, but didn't they like merge and like the Big 12 is not even 12 of them? There's like 8 of them.
Yeah, there's like a Big 10. I think there is still a Big 12. I think it goes SEC, Big 10. I'm not even gonna say it because I'm gonna look stupid. Someone's gonna.
I mean, just we don't have to dive so deep into the North Carolina State Wolfpack, but I mean, in terms of who's on their schedule, they have Virginia, Richmond, Vanderbilt, Appalachian State, Wake Forest, and like North Carolina, who's not very big into football. So like the other ones are decent, like Stanford, Duke. Like they're also playing Duke out there. So yeah, they're not playing powerhouses, I guess is what. I mean, they're playing Duke, so they're playing like lawyers and your venture bros, like that's who they're playing out there.
Yeah, I mean, to bring a full circle here, like Justin Joly's got the profile that we want to attack. He had almost 2,000 yards over his college career with 15 touchdowns. He broke a total of 46 tackles of avoided tackles. So he's got the highest avoided tackles of the entire class. He played 4 years. He is a senior, but he's got, the analytics to kind of to back it up. So again, I think that he's probably going to be one of these guys that goes like early day 3. If he sneaks into the 2nd round, I think he's going to be a name to pay attention to, especially if it's a team that is devoid of, target competition and it's not super stiff. Like if he went somewhere like Tennessee or where's another landing spot that he could go where it would actually bode well for him. Maybe a Carolina, right? Something like that where he could be the 2 to Tedero McMillan. Something. I think that if he lands well, I'm going to be really interested in him.
How dare you disrespect Jalen Coker like that? That's atrocious. No, but I mean, it's so weird, right? That this guy's a senior and he's about to be 22. I guess all the red shirts and all that stuff make a difference. But yeah, I mean, he's a good big tight end. Honestly, like I haven't gotten a chance to watch him. I have seen a lot of buzz about him from the fantasy community and kind of just the draft community in general. So it could be pretty interesting to see what he does at the combine. Another thing is just like, hey, like I know there's an L missing there, but I mean, come on, Justin Joly, come on, we gotta be Joly. Like that's just But
Jolly Justin,
exactly. There you go.
All right, let's jump into the last guy we're going to talk about here. And honestly, my favorite, Tanner Koziol. This guy, tight end 6 of the class, played for the Houston Cougars. Who doesn't love a good Cougar? 6'7". He's 6'7", 250 pounds. We don't know his age because for some reason that's harder to find out than his weight or height. But he's between 22 and 23 years old. He ran 322 routes, 94 targets, 74 receptions, 727 yards, 6 touchdowns, 291 yards after the catch, only avoided 2 tackles, target per route run of 0.29, yards per route run of 2.26, asked to block 17.8% of the time. Dude, this guy is a monster. Like I'm calling him the slender giant because at 6'7", only weighing 250 pounds, he looks like a freaking beanpole out there. But the catch radius on this guy, forget it, dude. Forget about a catch radius. He's got a catch diameter, bro. Like he's double it. He's got it all, right? He's this crazy red zone threat. 24 touchdowns over his collegiate career. 24. I think in his freshman year, he had something like 8 touchdowns or 6 touchdowns. Let me make sure I got this right. His freshman year, he had 7 touchdowns in his freshman year. Like, put this guy on the right team and the right scheme who knows how to use him. This guy could be a machine in fantasy. At 6'7", like think about the defensive backs that he's going to be going up against. He's got like 6 inches on these guys. He's probably got 20 pounds on them, and it doesn't even matter. Like they're going to bully him. They're going to have to put 2 of them hanging off his shoulders just to bring him down. It's going to be like David and Goliath out there.
Yeah, I mean, let's face it. He probably just a failed basketball player, but. I mean, I gotta be honest with you. Until you put his name in the show doc, is not somebody I'd even heard of. This guy,
he's a sleeper.
Yeah, he's definitely a sleeper. I mean, I wish he would have stayed where he was playing before. I mean, he used to play at Ball State. Like we're talking about names here. That's a great one there. But so I'll take your word for it. I mean, 24 touchdowns over that's crazy. What you're saying about if he could get used in the right area. I mean. Look, for a tight end, if you score a touchdown, you pretty much, you're relevant to fantasy most weeks, week in and week out. So, and in some of these formats where, you're getting extra points per reception or, juiced up receptions, you don't need to do much more. So if you can be, and we've seen that with a lot of quarterbacks, right? Like the tight end can become very, very friendly to quarterbacks in that red zone. So, yeah. So so it's pretty interesting guy. I honestly, when you first started talking about this guy and you did all the memes, I thought you were, trolling me here, but I had to look him up. Yeah, this is an actual human being. He's a real person. I thought you were trying to pull one on me like you did with the Jets tight end guy, Jets.
Oh yeah,
and his tweets. Thought you were getting me again.
Aaron Glenn, man.
Let me look this up real quick.
Very tone deaf.
Oh man, yeah.
No. This guy's huge. He's got really great hands. He has the most yards out of his career. 2,236 yards over his collegiate career. 832 yards after the catch. Like it's not just touchdowns. This guy's getting it done in a lot of different ways. Like, just think about like what a 6'7" guy could do, like with any quarterback, right? Like, hey, run 10 yards and just stand there. I'm gonna throw it. He's
How has the
7
NFL
feet.
never thought of this?
That's what I'm saying, man. Like, I'm gonna throw 8 feet in the air. All you gotta do is reach up, catch it, and bring it down. Like, no DB is gonna be able to tackle you. It's kind of crazy, but Tanner Koziol, remember the name? Maybe this guy, the Chiefs met with him at the Senior Bowl, and he popped at the Senior Bowl too, which is something to note here. And I don't know, man. He's probably nothing, but it's fun to talk about. We're in February, and we're talking about rookies here. What else are we gonna do? All right, that kind of brings it out for the tight ends that we wanted to cover here. If we want to talk about, my bad, guys. Forget that happened.
Make sure to end the show quick. He's like, I'm done, guys.
Let me get my neuralizer. Put on your glasses. Okay. We do want to mention a few other tight ends here, though. There's Josh Cuevas. He's a redshirt senior, had decent analytics, broke out his sophomore year at Cal Poly before transferring around, settled in Alabama, where he had a decent senior year, over 1,400 yards, 12 touchdowns over 4 seasons. There's Daquan Wright, who is a senior with solid analytics. He also had 1,400 plus yards, 7 touchdowns, and 29 avoided tackles over the 4 seasons with Virginia Tech, and more recently, Ole Miss. You want to cover this next guy? How do you say his name? You got him?
Oh, that's why you threw it to me. I was like, why are you throwing it to me? Yeah, let's do it. I mean, Seydou Traore.
Got him.
I'll fix one of the other guys you said. I mean, it's not Cuevas, it's Cuevas, but yeah,
Cuevas.
We'll say this guy is Seydou Traore. He's a redshirt senior, broke out in Arkansas State. He tipped off to Mississippi. 1,400 yards, 10 touchdowns over 4 seasons. So, another guy maybe to keep an eye on. I did want to mention that this kind of going with what we said about the tight ends getting more love. These are the most tight ends that have been invited to the combine, I think, in a long time. So, I think the NFL is trending that way. We just saw a team win at the Super Bowl playing a lot of 12, 13 personnel. So, but yeah, you got one more guy to talk about?
Yeah, RJ Maryland from St. Mary's University. He's got a great receiving ability. He had, again, 1,400 yards over 4 seasons, 19 touchdowns. He holds a special place in my heart. We drafted him on one of my college ball teams, or the best ball teams, and he did really well for us in that 2023 season. So that's about it. I mean, there's a ton of tight ends. Like you said, there's a lot being invited here who we didn't bring up. And again, all these guys I didn't bring up because I think they're going to be pass blockers more than anything. But we'll keep you guys posted. If someone pops up here who does seem a little more relevant, we'll make sure to bring them up in future episodes here. But that's going to wrap it up for the tight end prospects here. Anything you want to say here before we hit the outro?
Yeah, man, just keep one eye out. This guy also holds a special place in my heart because of his name. John Michael Gillenborg, boy out of Wyoming, big, strong boy. Keep an eye out for him. Maybe we'll talk about him in a future episode. But yeah, he's a guy out there playing tight end.
I love it, man. I almost put him in here just because of the last name. And I mean, honestly, like the analytics aren't too bad. He had a career targets per out run of 0.236. I mean, who knows, man? Like,
to scoff at.
Yeah, like who was the guy that we were all falling in love with that was like a rodeo master? Was it, oh man, who is this dude? There was a prospect that like last year, and the dude was, no, you don't know? I think it might have been Lan Larson, if I'm remembering this correctly.
No idea who that guy is.
Yeah, I want to say he was from like Idaho or something, and was like wrestling bulls or something like that. And like, just tell me,
bulls.
Yeah, bro. Wow. What do you think they do in a rodeo?
Not wrestle them. I mean, they like jump on them, jump over them. I don't know.
That sounds like wrestling, bro. You just described wrestling. All right, John Michael Gillenborg. We'll follow up with pronunciation when we have it, but we've been more than enough here for you guys. Hopefully you enjoyed that. I had fun. So I don't know. That's all that matters to me. But if you guys liked it, drop a comment below. Get at us. Make sure to get in there for the league review, roster review, and we'll get you guys put in there for the drawing that we will reveal next week. Other than that, have a good one, guys. Yeah, that's it.
That's it.
That's it.
That's it.
Close it down.
Future First Pod, YouTube, Twitter, X, wherever you get your podcasts. If you're listening to us on Player Profile Network, please, check out our own YouTube channel. We really appreciate that. And we're out.
Peace.